Good evening. In our news bulletin for tonight, National Geographic and Ocean 5 have returned to share findings from the expedition to Niue and Beveridge Reef that was carried out last year. The Department of Agriculture is supporting the revival of taro export shipments. The Niue Power staff work on repairs to power lines in Alofi that were affected by lightning strikes weeks ago. The mystery behind what lies beneath Niue's waters is becoming a lot clearer following comprehensive research conducted as part of the expedition to Niue. Niue's remote location generated some interest from abroad, and the Niue Ocean-wide project to gather scientific evidence for government to base decisions for planning the sustainable use of the island's marine resources. The expedition took months to plan and was greatly supported by the government with funding from Ocean 5. And the expedition in September last year has revealed valuable information about the marine health of Niue's pristine waters, and this is the focus of a film that documents the journey.
National Geographic Pristine Seas focuses on exploring and documenting the last wild places in the ocean. Our team has been to 19 different places in the world, but Niue is by far one of the most special. We're here on a return trip following our September 2016 expedition around Niue and Beveridge Reef in partnership with the Niuean government and the Niue Oceans-wide project. And the expedition was focused on assessing the marine health of Niue and Beveridge, as well as helping the government make informed choices about sustainable management in the future. We've worked really hard, especially our chief scientist, Dr. Alan Friedlander, to put together all the scientific results from our expedition. And on top of that, we've created a documentary film of our expedition.
The first screening was held at Matawai Resort last night for a small select group of VIP, but the expectation is that there will be several opportunities to share what was an extraordinary expedition. This is also a testament to the collaborative effort by a number of organizations on and off island to come together to find out more about Niue's waters.
My involvement in the project is through the funder. I work for an international funders collaborative called Oceans 5, and we have partnered with Tofi and Niue to support the Niue Ocean-wide, the NOW project, which is a public-private partnership between the government of Niue and civil society. And that I get to wear multiple hats. So I get to work for the funder, which means, providing some financial assistance, which is, again, it's a really small contribution compared to the contribution of the people of Niue. But at the same time, I'm also a scientist. And so I had the great privilege to study the shark densities on Niue and in Beveridge Reef. And for me, first of all, being able to visit Beveridge, which is a place that seems really close to a lot of Niueans' hearts, having the opportunity to go there, to dive, and then to study the shark populations was incredible. And then those shark populations were some of the highest that we have seen in the world, which is really, really special. Most people are afraid of sharks, and especially fishermen. Fishermen really hate sharks. They take their gear, they take the fish that they're trying to feed their families, and I get that. But unfortunately, nature has made it that sharks are a really necessary component for balancing the ecosystem. And on top of that, because of external pressures of industrial fishing and some of the demand for shark fins and meat and liver oil and other things, the populations of sharks they're plummeting faster than sharks are able to replenish. So sharks don't have a whole lot of young every year, but they're being fished at rates that are making many of the species extinct. And they're really necessary for the ecosystem. They wipe out the sick. They keep the ecosystem in check. And so as much as we don't like them, we really do have to learn to live with them because they're an important part of the system.
The expedition team took scientists and a film crew to some of the last wild marine areas that has not been widely documented. We spoke with the chief scientist from the expedition to gauge what some of the main findings were and the comparisons between marine resources in Niue and that at Beveridge Reef.
Our findings were that Beveridge Reef is probably one of the most amazing places we've studied to date in the Pacific. It's a healthy, nearly pristine atoll. It's got highest densities of sharks we've seen anywhere in the Pacific. It's got very healthy populations of giant clams, and the system as a whole just seems like it's intact. Everything's there. It's functioning well. Even though it's been impacted by cyclones and bleaching events and various storms, it shows the resilience that the marine environment can have if we just leave it alone and let it protect itself. It does a much better job of managing itself than we do. Beverage Reef is an exceptional place. It's nearly unimpacted by humans, and so that's what a natural system looks like. Niue, on the other hand, has people living here, people who are relying on the ocean for daily food and sustenance. So as a result, the populations of fish, of larger fish, are much lower here than they are around Beverage Reef.
According to those who have been heavily involved in this project, there is still much work that needs to be done to analyze samples, and this is only the beginning.
The scientific expedition was amazingly comprehensive. We studied everything from the shallow waters all the way down to several thousand meters and out into the open ocean. And no 30-minute documentary can capture fully what we found. And we're still working on results. The genetic work is in progress. A lot of the other things aren't fully completed. But we have produced a scientific report that is quite comprehensive, and that's available to people to look at. We're also providing the videos from the deep water cameras and various other means. So we'll continue to work and use these data to help Niue move forward with their management. So the documentary is great, it's compelling, it's inspiring, it provides a good amount of information, but it can't capture everything that we did during the expedition.
I think there's quite a ways to go. So this project is really just kicking off, and it's kicking off and generating a lot of interest in Niue and starting to generate interest outside. And I think that there's a lot of place to go where Niue can be a leader in the world, one of the elite countries that puts marine protection at the forefront of its national plan. And I think that gives a few opportunities both politically for the government to really assert that Niueans know how to protect their resources, but also for people, to bring people here to see how Niueans treat their resources and to see the beauty that really is here.
Locals can find out more about the scientific findings by attending one of the presentations and screenings that will be held this week. There will be one at Hakupu on Wednesday afternoon and at the Millennium Hall on Thursday afternoon. There will also be sessions held in the schools. After almost 10 years, the Department of Agriculture are trying to revive the export of taro to New Zealand. The department have been working with shop exports to encourage more farmers to provide 300 sacks of taro that is required to fill half a shipping container. However, according to the director of DAF, Poi Okisene, the taro export program, or the last shipment of taro, was exported in 2008 to 2010, and the shutdown of the program was due to challenges faced while trying to maintain a healthy flow of taro export numbers. Today was the last day for receiving taros at the department, and they managed a total of 100 sacks of taros. At this time, Mr. Okisene says that the taro export program is a one-off and is on a trial basis. He says that it would take 600 sacks of taro to fill one shipping container, and back in the early 2000s, Niue used to export up to 3 to 4 containers per shipment. Some of the challenges that they have faced with the taro export program has been consistent heavy rain, issues with plantation clearing and prices, and the inconsistencies of clearing services, but most of all due to farmers who are now much older or elderly and trying to get young people involved in farming. DAF is currently working with the Niue High School and Niue Primary School to establish demonstration plots to encourage more young people into farming. The Niue Power Corporation is continuing with work to repair a number of electrical faults in Alofi that was the result of lightning strikes a few weeks ago. The weather has hampered developments, and there have been some planned power outages. Yesterday, teams spent the afternoon joining a high voltage cable to the transformer opposite the Public Works Department building, and that interrupted power to residents in Huihui, the back road of the airport, the public service building, all the way down to Tapeo. This particular fault was fixed today, much to the relief of nearby residents who have had disruptions to their power and water supply. Niue Power staff are gradually repairing electrical cables, and another major project will be to fix another faulty cable in between the Public Works building and Arlena's restaurant, where they have put a temporary line in for the time being. Despite assurances from the corporation that they are working on repairs, some customers have been out of pocket with no compensation for broken electrical appliances that have been affected by the unexpected power cuts, even though some were planned. Some people were unaware due to late notice. And that concludes our news bulletin for this evening. Do join us again for our next news bulletin on Thursday. Don't forget that Niue High School have their Vanghau Niue speeches tomorrow, and the early childhood centres from the outer villages will be holding their sports day at Avaseli.